Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lorelei Shimayo. This is the MeWe Metaphysics and Wellness Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest and online, so many different online events these days. We have fairs and panels and so many practitioners that are part of our community. We interview our practitioners and vendors, so you get a chance to know who we are before you meet us at an event. I'm here today interviewing Faith. Faith, it's great to have you.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I'm looking forward to joining the community and being more involved.
You're welcome. Well, so tell me a little bit about your work. What do you offer and what do you share at our events?
I am definitely looking forward to being involved with talks, offering question and answer afterwards, communicating with people. I think it really depends so much on who's there at any particular event, what it is that they're looking for, what it is that I'm kind of tapped into at that point. Definitely wanting to do the best I can to help them, even if it's connecting them with someone else. Because I think it can be easy for people to get overwhelmed. We have so many vendors and practitioners at some of the events that and it's just so fast paced. So if I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to help you, but this person might, I would totally want to send them their way. So
Well, what do
just kind
people
of
come
depends.
what do people come to you for? What do you do with people?
One of the biggest things is being very empathetic. I've had numerous people, clients and coworkers say about just the empathy. And it's hard because for some people, like it's not really something that they feel like they can develop. Depends who you ask. Some say you can, some say you can't. But that I just seem to have a lot of that, where I can really listen. I'm not judgmental, really want to meet people where they're at, see what I can do to try and help them, help connect them with resources. Because it's so hard. There's like all this information at our fingertips, but that doesn't mean people know how to navigate it. So if there's something I know that could be of use for them, then I definitely want to try and help make them aware of that.
Mm.
So that's definitely one of the biggest things, promoting wellness, being supportive, the empathy, that non-judgmental piece. Because like I always think of like, if you're in a family of everybody's doctors and you're like, I don't want to be a doctor. It's really hard to talk to your family about the fact that you don't want to be a doctor. You talk to a coach or some other professional person or this third party that we can just explore, well, what's going to work best for you without having that agenda. But everybody in our family is a doctor. So
So
I think
everyone in your family growing up, you say everyone worked in the medical field?
No, I was saying, like, having clients come in
Oh,
when they're, like,
okay,
dealing with
okay.
something like that is it's so hard for them to go to their family about that. Even sometimes their friends might be like, "But being a doctor or being a lawyer is, such a great career." And they might be like, "Well, I wanna be an artist or I wanna do whatever it is." So I think that's a neat thing that I get to do is this third party is, like, more wellness promoter, coach type of position.
Mhm. So it sounds like you generally work in the field of wellness, and I don't know how much you bridge into like physical wellness and emotional wellness and spiritual wellness, and it sounds like you follow your intuition a lot.
Yes, definitely something I'm continuing to develop because, in terms of something like I've known for a while, is that I like to help people promote wellness, even if I wasn't using the W word of wellness, knowing that that was something I was doing, but definitely developing more my intuition and definitely something I'm bringing more to my sessions than I used to, and definitely that mindfulness of it. So, yeah, that's definitely something more. The emotional piece of wellness is definitely more of my strength. I can't do as much in terms of my training with the more medical side.
Mhm.
But it kind of depends. If you've got somebody who's like, I've been to all these different Western medical practitioners and I feel very invalidated and not listened to, well, now you're back in my realm because I can definitely listen to people, validate them, and hopefully send them in a direction where they can feel like they can get some help besides just me listening to them, but also maybe finding something to get to the root of what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. And what is your experience of how you get a sense of what to share with people or what direction to send them in? I know it might be newer in your edge of knowing, but what's your awareness of that?
I feel like the biggest thing is listening somehow because like so often people be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I'm listening to them. I'm like, they know exactly what they want to do. They just have things in the way that they don't want to do it. Usually someone else or society says, do this, don't do that type of thing. And that's the block. It's not that they don't know. So I'm just sitting there listening to them and I'm like, they do know. And so I think that's the biggest thing is just listening to what they're saying is a huge thing for me. But again, being more involved with this community, I'm kind of like, is it actually like I hear something that they say, or is it more some kind of sense? So I
I
feel
have
like time would tell more with that.
I have this all the time with this too. And I know what I'm experiencing as you're sharing, and I have no idea if this matches any of your experience. It's almost like as they share, like you can feel the emotional flow of something, and like you can feel when there's a thing in the way.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Is that something like that
Yeah,
seems true for you?
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It's hard because sometimes it's something in them, which is good in the sense of there's way more control there, but sometimes it's like this external thing that they're like, I don't know how to navigate this, which I guess you could argue and say, well, that's still internal too. But it's a little harder because you can't control, what the family thinks of things or what society says, or you want to work for such and such company and they're not hiring. So there are definitely some external factors there.
Right, right. And it's all the things that we can do are the things that are inside and the way that we respond. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are, do you have some examples maybe of the different types of wellness things that have come up for you working with people? Like just different types of topics so people get an idea?
I feel like depression is huge. And I know in trying to promote my website, depression help is one of the biggest things that people are searching. And then in some cases, then clicking on my website. But I think for some people, they're looking for different parts of depression help, where they might want medication or something. And that's, you need a doctor for that, or an ARNP, depending on your state. So I think definitely, especially with everything going on with COVID and just how that's changed our world, a lot of people dealing with depression and loneliness, a lot of anxieties with all this.
Mhm.
But even before, just sometimes the uncertainty of like, am I going to have a job tomorrow? Even before COVID happened, like you just would hear about downsizing and be like, where did this come from? So a lot of people feeling very anxious. A lot of people just because everybody is so busy and has been so busy, feeling like I'm so alone, I have nobody to talk to, where like maybe they do have friends or family, that would be great, but they're working like two jobs and then like they're dying on the weekend of just like exhaustion and like I'm pressing a button watching TV and that's all I can do. I can't listen to you. I can't handle anyone else's problems. I can't even handle my own. So I think definitely that piece too of people just wanting that support, wanting to be able to have someone to talk to that's really going to listen and try and help them and not judge them, because unfortunately sometimes people mean well and it doesn't always come off so great. So a lot of that stuff, sometimes relationship issues. One of the parts I hadn't in my previous positions been able to explore as much, I got to do it a little bit, is the spiritual side of things. I'm very excited to have the flexibility to do that now that I'm working just more on my own business. So if that's something of interest to people with whatever background they're coming from, and it's kind of cool. I have a religious studies background, so biblical studies and also world religions. So if people are tied to some kind of religious belief system, I might have some background in it, but I'm also willing to learn. I think it's kind of neat to kind of flip the script. You go to someone who's the quote unquote expert, and then you get to be the expert and teach them something and be like, well, this is what I believe, because even within religions or within spirituality, people have so many different beliefs. So it's definitely something I am looking forward to incorporating that more for people that are interested, not because I'm pushing anything on them, but I know so many people have told me that they had been to like professionals like counselors and therapists and felt like they couldn't talk about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, my heart just bleeds and cries, because I'm like, if that's important to you, you ought to be able to talk about that. And so that's the cool thing for me is like there's no insurance company or something like that to worry about. People can just talk about what they need to, and we can help with all aspects of wellness.
It just so feels like you've always been this way. I imagine you've been having these conversations with people for a really long time.
Yes. So I can remember like even as a kid, well, the one thing I don't remember, but I've been told stories of being like, gosh, just like a couple years old, probably no older than 4, and we're over visiting a friend, the family, and I'm cleaning like their house, like I'm sweeping with the broom. That just very much a helper. And then definitely working with other kids in school, tutoring, mentoring, and I've just always been in those kind of roles. I've done that is work study and just different positions that I've been in. So I feel like I've had these different hats, different official role titles. But when you get down to it, it's about trying to promote wellness, trying to be there for people, trying to use all the gifts I have, even the ones I wasn't aware of initially.
What is your first some of your first memories of people confiding in you or asking you questions and that you had something to share with them?
Yeah, I feel like pretty young. I couldn't say an exact like example or age, but definitely being like probably in elementary school and just being that kid that was friendly, want to be, hey, it's okay, you're new. Let me show you where your class is, or hey, you look like you're having a rough day. Come sit by me, type of thing.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, sometimes more confiding about different things. So just yeah, it goes way back. And it's like my family is a family of helpers. Even if they weren't working in that position, like as a paid job, that'd be something like to do volunteering or helping other members of the family and friends out. That's very much like who we are. So.
Great. If people want to learn more about you, where do they find you online?
So online, I have two websites, truthfreedomlove.org and harmonyunitybalance.org also. The Harmony Unity Balance is a little bit more geared towards intuitive, empathic, some would call psychic type of things and sessions. Also more working on articles on that side. I eventually want to get some articles on the Truth, Freedom, Love, but that is more for the wellness coaching. Um, there's definitely overlap, but in terms of how they do the sites, I needed them to be a bit more separate. So
Yeah,
I have the two.
that's great. Well, it's been lovely chatting with you. I'm looking forward to connecting with you more and sharing what you do with all of our people.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, Faith. And for all of you listening and watching, you can learn more about all of our events at MeWeFairs.com. See you soon.